Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? So we are going to be making the beautiful top you can see on the thumbnail. So it's just a really simple top. So to get started, what you're going to be doing, you're going to be folding your fabric into four, which I did. So I have this folded into two. This is for my front and this is for my back. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, so I went ahead to have a starting line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be drawing out my half length. So my half length is 16 inches, and I'm going to be adding one half inches for the joining allowance to the gathers under. So I'm going to be marking out 16.5 inches here. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be cutting out the neckline. So the neckline I'm going to be using 3 inches for the neckline for the back and 3 inches for the neckline for the back, for the front. Now I'm coming down by 1 inches for the neckline for the back, then 3 inches for the neckline for the front. And I'm going to be connecting all of this. This is now the neckline. So the shoulder line I'm working with, so my shoulder divided by 2 is going to be giving me half inches. It's going to be giving me 8 inches. So from this 8 inches, I'm going to come down by 1 inches for my shoulder slope. I'll go up by half inches for the joining allowance. Then from this 1 inches here, coming down by my shoulder opening. So for this case, I'm just going to be using 8 inches. So I'm going to be using 8 inches. So the next thing to do is to insert my bust measurement. So my bust measurement divided by 4 is 9 inches. I'm going to be adding half inches for ease. And I'm going to be adding half inches for my sewing allowance. So my bust divided by 4 is 9 inches, half inches for ease. Then I'm going to be adding half inches for the joining allowance, making it 10 inches. So I'm just going to connect it this way. So from the waist area, what I have, I'm going to be dividing my waist area divided by 4. So the waist area I'm using is 30 divided by 4 is 7.5, adding half inches for ease and half inches for joining allowance. And I'm going to connect it. So around the armhole here, I'm going to be coming in by half inches and connect it using my armhole curve. So the next thing to do now is to cut this out. So I'm going to start with the neckline for the back. So after cutting out for the back, I'm just going to trim out the neckline for the front. So the next thing we're going to be doing, I'm going to be taking off the front this way, and I'm going to be opening it up. So I'm just going to open this up this way. So this is now for the front. So you notice from the style, the front has the opening that has the ribbon there. So what I'm going to be doing, so by the time I'm going to be folding the half inches here, I'm just going to be folding in half inches here. If I do that, then it means automatically I have a spacing of 1 inches around the front area this way, and it's going to give me that opening that you can see in front. So that is why I did not have any allowance here for the folding allowance. So I'm just going to be taking in half inches this way and sew it down. So what we are going to be doing next now, so the first thing we're going to be doing is we are going to be joining. I'm just going to go ahead to turn all of the neckline for both the front and the back. I will be using a bias. Then I'm going to be folding this part. So let me just go ahead to do that, then I'll show you what I have. So guys, after turning the neckline, so you can see the way I turned the neckline. I just weave part of the neckline, then I just turned it and give it a good press. So after joining the neckline, and this is for the front, so you can see I've gone ahead to finish up this part also. So I'm just going to join the shoulders together and join the sides. So I'll take this now to the sewing machine and join the shoulders, join it this way, then join the sides. See, after joining the shoulder and the sides, I went ahead to weave it So the next thing to do is to measure what we have all around here, so that to determine the amount of fabric we'll cut out for the gathers. So I'm just going to measure what I have all around. So you can see I have around 34.5 inches. So I went ahead to cut out these two pieces. So I want the entire top length to be around 23 inches. So remember, my half length is 16 and a half. It's 16 and a half, and so if I want it to be around 23 inches, I'm going to be cutting out around 7.5 inches here. So I have around 7.5 inches here. So, and the length of what I have here, I just cut it out. It's just long. I have around 45 inches here, and I have another piece. So I cut out 2 of this. So I'm going to be joining it. I'm just going to be joining it this side here. Then I'm going to gather everything. I'm just going to gather everything into the waistline. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to join these sides and go ahead to hem this part. Okay, so guys, you can see I've gone ahead to turn the down part and also this part of this part. So the next thing now is to gather this. So I'm going to gather it in such a way that it's going to be around that 34 inches that we have on the top. So I'm going ahead to run a gather stitch here. So I'm going ahead to run a gather stitch. So now I'm just going to pull. So you can see me pulling. So I'm just going to keep pulling until I have my 34 inches. So let's go ahead and keep pulling until I have the 34 inches. So let me just go ahead to do that. So guys, this is it after joining the side. So instead of gathering, I went ahead to pleat it. So this is what I have now after I was done pleating. So now we're going to be cutting the sleeve. So for the sleeve, I'm going to be using 9 inches. 9 inches for the length of the sleeve. So by the time I'm done, it's going to end up to be 8 inches. So I'm just going to cut out the sleeve this way. So I'm going to come down by 4 inches for my sleeve cap, and I'm just going to connect it this way. So you can just see the way I traced my hand. Then I do not want it to be tight, so I'm just going to work with 8 inches. I'm going to add half inches for the joining allowance on the sides, and I'm just going to cut this out. So I'm just going to join the sides first. I'm just going to join the sides of the sleeve first. Then I'm going to be attaching it, and I'm going to make a little ribbon for the neckline. So let me just go ahead to do all of that. So guys, this is it after I was done. So this is the rope I went to attach. So you can see the joining. I just joined it, just tack it there. So this is the other part, and this is the gathers. So for the gathers, I went ahead to pleat it instead of using the rope, because when I was using the rope, it was not looking fine sharp. So I went ahead to use my hand to gather it because I have enough fabric. So to get the amount of fabric you are going to be using for your gathers, you can times your waist, whatever you have around the waist area, you can times it times 2, or you can times it times 2.5. So what I use here is times 2.5, and that is why it is this full. So you can use times 2 or times 2.5. It depends on how full you want it to be. And this is the sleeve that we have. So the sleeve we used was 8 inches. So I cut out 9 inches. I have to join it here. I have to end the allowance. So I'll just go ahead to knot this. So you can just do any style you want, but it's usually a bow. So you tie it this way and you do your hands this way and just get a nice bow. And that is all for the making of this top. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to be seeing you in the next tutorial. Bye guys.